Hello, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today to another great session when it comes to the Lab podcast. And today we'll be having great entrepreneurs joining us from South Africa who are going to shed more light on the specific engagement that they are doing, specifically when it comes to bamboo development and bamboo development here in Africa, looking at the specific areas that they are covering. For the past couple of episodes, we have been reaching out and meeting different expertise, specifically when it comes to bamboo development, that is at community level, that is at manufacturing level, looking into production level, looking at food, looking at energy, looking at health, looking at the different aspects when it comes to bamboo as a plant and the specific benefits that it can have in terms of community development, in terms of personal development when it comes to finances, when it comes to development of different structures, if it is housing and all that. And today I am very thankful that we have two experts who are going to share whatever they are doing specifically in bamboo, and they can shed light on how they are using bamboo specifically when it comes to housing, because this is something that we have been looking at as Africa and third world countries, looking at how can we have affordable housing for people at community level that not only is affordable to them but gives them the same security, gives them the same benefits that any other housing that can give them. How do we use bamboo for different products, if it is crafts, if it is different items that can be put into houses, if can use the different expertise to develop products for the housing industry, for the hospitality industry also. And I hope that through this discussion and having also these guys here, you guys can learn one or two or three. You can also reach out to them and also can get a little bit of other things that bamboo can help and also can benefit the specific communities. So, without further ado, and also not speaking too much, I will give the chance to for both of them. They can introduce themselves. They can share what are their expertise with the specific organization that they are running, and also the company that they are running, and what are they doing. Then the conversation can kickstart from there. So I'll start with Kanji, who can introduce himself. Then you can go to Demeter, just do an introduction. Then we can kickstart the conversation. Table is yours.
Okay, hi. Thanks for having me on your show. My name is Kanji Yoshimura. I was born in Liberia, but I've been living in different African countries and finally traveled to South Africa, where I studied at the School of University here and where I met them. And that's how we kind of got started. And we formed this company called Renewable Houses South Africa. And our vision is affordable housing, skills, and resources for South Africa. So this is where we're actually doing R&D of alternative housing models using bamboo and earth, developing prototypes of various construction details that eventually we would like to create working examples for a housing solution dedicated for South Africa and neighboring countries that can cultivate bamboo. So yeah, that's it from my side. I go to them.
Yeah, thank you, Kanji. My name is Dimitar Dobrev. I'm a Bulgarian immigrant. I moved to South Africa in 1992. I studied at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, my undergraduate and postgraduate. Sorry, I did my postgraduate architecture degree there. That's where I met Kanji. And yeah, my area of expertise is the architecture side of things, and sort of the more sort of paperwork, administrative role, whereas Kanji is more hands-on with the resource. But yeah, that's a brief introduction from me. And yeah, what would you like to know?
It is really interesting, specifically when it comes to these are different. You guys are two different individuals coming from the different parts of the world, Africa, then coming together in order to make sure that you create this specific solution specifically when it comes to housing and also development of this specific company, which specifically targets on housing. So maybe before we get into so much and so detailed specifically on why bamboo, maybe if you guys can just do a little bit of an introduction of the specific company, which are the specific areas that the company focuses on. If it is on bamboo, is it planting only? Is it looking at the different areas? Is it planting? Is it production of the raw materials? Are you guys working directly with the farmers, or are you guys just getting the bamboo then converting them into the architecture and something of the sort? So maybe if you guys can just introduce the specific company, then it is easier now for us to get more and into more details.
Okay, so I think the company has various streams of, income streams. One is the architectural consultation, where Dimitar's a professional architect, and he sort of gets different clients that sort of ask for different things, and he can actually provide submission drawings, and that's the kind of architectural service. But then the other side is the bamboo sales. So we have products that we develop on the farm, where we're currently making children's kids toys, like bamboo scoops and bamboo shoots for sand toys, and so there's that's the toys. But our main things are poles and roller screens, and that's getting shipped to England, where we're actually harvesting the resource from like the surrounding area, and then we sort of bring it back to the workshop, treat it, dry it and cure it, and then we sort of export it out. So we do have local markets and international markets, but we are working on a framework where the operation that we've got on the farm currently is somewhat of a bamboo regional hub concept, where we sort of would like to be able to sort of introduce this resource to the neighboring surrounding communities, provide the resource. If they've got land, we plant it out, and we can buy back the bamboo from them, and then we sort of create like an economy based on the bamboo itself. Because bamboo as a plant, it's great. All the ideals about the growth rates and everything, it's true, but they don't really tell you that it's only once a year or 3-month period. You know, it's like there's a lot of ideas and ideologies that are great about bamboo, but it's just like any other plant. You kind of have to nurture it, and you have to know what to do with it. If you cut too much, it's gonna die. Like, you know, you can't just go out and get. So skills development is really crucial. So we haven't really got to a point where we can approach neighboring communities to be able to sort of do this kind of scheme. We are currently just those that are just around us with our members harvesting and exporting, but the market is quite vast. So it's just not enough for us to be able to sort of do everything. So eventually, at the end of like the full roll and everything, we would like to be at a stage where we have enough resource to build another bamboo regional hub somewhere where people would want to start this business. So yeah, that's the kind of so we can do architecture consultation, and also we are preparing building resources and toys products. So that's the kind of role that we are currently doing. And so that's basically what we are currently busy with.
Okay. I think from what I've just heard, so I can see there is the plants aspect of it, where you're planting with also the community, and there's the product aspect of it, looking at the children toys and something of the sort, and looking at also having the community involved. Because even for us, whatever we are doing and whatever I think I have also identified when we're dealing with the bamboo, specifically at community level, is building that specific value chain, that specific structure where we have the community members planting, them offering the land for planting, and make sure that the ones who are producing that specific resource, you governing, looking at which are the specific species that you specifically need for this specific product, because you cannot just plant any other bamboo, which I think we'll also have a discussion I think around it. Then looking at which are the specific markets, which are the specific market structures that you have also developed with the organization. Is it, as you have said, you're having the toys. For us, it's looking at jewelry, looking at different products. then having you being the conjoined form of the whole or the whole structure, or the way having the training the farmers on how they can plant the bamboo, how they can make the financial aspect of it, then moving all the way to having the products selling if it is inside the internal market, and also the external market. And as you had said, looking at also the architecture and the housing, maybe this is a question to Demeter, where maybe my question is, at what point did you reach when you said, okay, now from whatever and the skill that I have, specifically in say drawing and all that, now bamboo is the right product and bamboo is the right crop that now I'm going to use as a raw material for my architectural development and production?
Okay, it's quite a loaded question, but there's a couple of ways to answer it. I would say that, we as products of tertiary institutions, research is something you learn to do. And it's now with the internet and all that, it's so easy to be able to look at what other countries, other governments, other architects all over the world are doing with bamboo. I mean, you just have to Google what, bamboo houses in Bali or Peru or Ecuador, Mexico, Thailand. There's a whole lot of places and a whole lot of architects such as Simon Velez and Yasmin Lari who have been working with bamboo for generations even, and they have really paved the way for us to come now and, I don't want to say catch up, but perhaps be really inspired by these things and take their ideas and contextualize them for South Africa. So what you asked me, why bamboo and sort of to link it back to the product. We're quite technical people, Kanji and myself, and we do sort of have that rigor about us, and because we do come from an architectural background. So there's quite a lot of research out there on different types of systems. I'll mention one now, the composite beam system. So a single bamboo culm is great, it's strong, it can do a bunch of things, but when you want to start bigger structures to be able to cover bigger spans, so for instance, if you needed like a school building, institutional building or something, you need to kind of get up the game a bit. So composite beams is one of those products which we are developing. It's just a combination of culms to form a much bigger structure, but without the heavy machinery that you need for laminating, for example. So we're not in the industrial processing yet. We've kind of kept it hand tools orientated because of the accessibility of technology and equipment for the vast majority of South Africans is quite an impossible thing. So the lightness of bamboo, we want to work with that, exploit that idea, and sort of all the systems we create be able to be executed with basic tools that you can get from a hardware store with minimal investment, and also transferable as a skill. So going back to your question, since working at this farm, which Kanji mentioned, we've got about 7 hectares of plantation, and I think around about 40 which we still need to actually plant out. But we've done the calculations, and we know that there's a certain yield one can expect, and species therefore becomes very important, because some species are not they don't yield construction grade material. So we have a nice diverse that we recommend to people to plant. If you are interested in planting, it's good to have a mix of structural material and then other lighter types of bamboo for the smaller stuff, like weaving of screens and partitions and ceilings. And so it's a mosaic. It's a basket of bamboo that you need to kind of propagate. And I don't know what else I can say.
I think just going into the so why bamboo? We've got a trait of international standards regarding buildings, and because it's regarding safety of humanity. Like, you can't just sort of make a building that doesn't comply and it collapses onto people and it sort of hurts them or kills them.
Yeah.
So recently, I think it was 2018, when the International Standards Organization issued a bamboo standard for whole round column construction. So the world is moving in a sense. So no longer bamboo is just a grass that you can't use. If you follow protocols, if you follow the right measurements and accurate standards, you can actually build with it. So with this kind of standards coming out now, it's no longer just a weed that you want to get rid of. It's something that you want to cultivate it. And as long as you cultivate the right species, that resource can be usable for construction, but you got to follow the right steps. So the information transfer is the most critical thing. So why bamboo? We can use this resource according to standard, but you have to follow it. So this is the kind of information that we need to let out into the world, where people actually know about these kind of information, because we know because we've been researching this. But like, does everybody else know about it? I think it's like a big gap between the reality of the progressive world of architecture versus the actual reality on the ground, where people just have this bamboo growing all around them, but they don't know what species it is. They haven't done the grading of it. So there's many steps and infrastructure necessary. But as Dimitar mentioned, for the bamboo industry, the initial investment to set up a treatment facility, the initial cost is substantially less compared to timber industry. Yeah. For the timber industry, you need massive tools. You need water-cooled saw blades to run through those big things to make planks and columns. But for bamboo, you could technically just dig a hole, have some plastic in the ground, you puncture the nose and you soak it in there. So, and you can use the panga to cut them. So, so in a sense, the accessibility of this resource just goes to like another layer. And also, this is where it gets a bit complicated when it comes to regulations. Bamboo is a grass and it's not a tree. Yeah. So the timber and the grass, if the timber industry wanted to sort of create regulations regarding this thing saying it's a timber, then then the problem will come in, because then they're going to start regulating it. You can't build infrastructures like freely, but it's a grass. So these kind of information, like, we have to be clear that this is a grass, it's not timber. So like, even to plant out, there's many different regulations and stuff, but the water research together with the University of Pietermaritzburg, it's the UKZN, and they have done a water comparison between wattle, eucalyptus, and bamboo species. And the selected species were Bambusa balcua and Bima bamboo. And the whole study was carried out for almost a year. And the water consumption of the bamboo was 40% less compared to eucalyptus and wattle. So that already puts bamboo on a great spot, where that research paper states that you don't need a water license to plant bamboo. So all the timber regulations doesn't really apply for bamboo because it's a grass. So, like, these kind of information, we kind of know because we've been in it, but to be able to sort of share this and say bamboo is not going to deplete water. And if you replace eucalyptus and wattle with bamboo plants, you're going to save water. Yeah. And bamboo roots is only 1 meter deep, which is not going to deplete the underground water resource. So, there's many benefits and all these things. So for me, like, bamboo can prevent soil erosion, create windbreaks for the strong winds coming through, and it become just usable and accessible. So that's my kind of view. Like, we still have a long way to go to actually get these kind of information known to everybody.
Yeah. So just the basis of what you guys have just talked about, and it has reminded me, there's a discussion we were meeting some guys who are in the agroforestry sector, and it's a grass, so it is really hard for someone who has been in the hardwood industry for a very long time and has been dealing with timber for a very long time, coming and telling them that bamboo can be an alternative for them to make money out of it, and also use that specific bamboo to make the same products that they are using in terms of making the same timber. And it was really difficult for us to have a discussion with them, because for them, they know bamboo as just another wild grass that grows. And most of the time they compare it to the Napier grass, which one is used for cows and all that. So they say, there is nothing much that can be done with the bamboo. Then, because they have not done, or the only way they have interacted with the bamboo is bamboo that has not been done, sustainable management has not been done on the plantations. So when they see all that, and they say, "Oh no, it is a crop that just grows widely. It brings in snakes and all that," and you tell them, no. If you do sustainable management and you manage the crops very well, you're going to get, number one, really good bamboo. Number two, you're going to have you're going to manage the growth and how it's going to be used in terms of product development and such kind of things. And it took a little bit of time, but slowly we could see now people are starting to get into bamboo. Now moving from only having it was only 10 hectares to having 2,000 hectares of bamboo being planted in a period of 3 years, but now during that specific process of training them. Then I think another thing that you guys also mentioned was also knowing the skills in terms of making this bamboo structures. And I'll give an example. Here in Rwanda, I think I met a couple of young people who are trying to do construction using bamboo. But now the problem is they were not treating bamboo. So, I was there looking, they've made this big structure, and I'm like, oh Lord, this thing is going to be eaten up with the insects because of East Africa. In East Africa, we have these insects that get into the bamboo. I'm like, oh Lord. I don't know how to tell them. I know it is going to be very hard.
We have the same ones. It's like a big bamboo cake for the insects. Yeah, you have to treat it.
I'm there.
But it's funny you should mention that because the way I like to sort of look at it, and I'm not saying this is right or anything, but it's just a fun way of thinking about it. Because bamboo grows so quickly, and it's almost like you can replace it. Like if you made a structure, right?
Yeah.
By the time that bamboo resource regrows, you'll get that regrowth back before your structure gets eaten by insects, right?
Yeah.
So, if you have enough of it. So therefore, bamboo is kind of like a stepping stone. It's like a little transition from, one level to the next, and you kind of move through bamboo. So you may end up doing, I don't want to say temporary structures, but more sort of, temporary structures, until you find what you need to do, and then you can formalize from that point on, with or without bamboo going forward. But I mean, if you treat it obviously and principle, keeping it dry, keeping it off the ground, etc., then it's very possible to create long-lasting buildings.
Yeah, so that's why now we go to train them. We had to give them the bad news that we put the structure down, or to do the treatment, train them on the treatment of bamboo and something of the sort. Then they had to do the structure once again. But the benefit is, and whatever they always thank us until today, is that structure is still standing until now. It's still being used for the specific activities until now. And as just Kanji had said, is these people like us who have these skills, who have this specific knowledge, now, as much as the world it is accepting bamboo slowly looking at also the international standards, bamboo being mentioned in those specific standards, it is also the way for us to also go and also train these people, tell them what are the benefits, what are also the disadvantages, how tedious is it making this specific, how tedious is it. It's not something that it's not a quick there's something that we always say in Kenya. When we talk about bamboo, we always tell them, okay, let's come back. We're not telling you that it is something that is really quick. It's a quick money-making scheme. There are processes that people have to go through. So don't come thinking that I'm going to plant bamboo today, then in the next year I'm going to be making my million. So it's a little bit of difference. And based on this, there's something that I know so many people are going to ask. And I think you guys maybe can say is, which are the specific species that you guys are working with specifically in South Africa? Which are the specific species that you guys have found that grow naturally in South Africa? There are other species that you guys have introduced in South Africa that align with what you guys want to achieve specifically when it comes to the company that you guys are.
Okay, so in South Africa, we've got a lot of Bambusa Bakua. Yeah. There's a lot of discussions and topics and research and writings on the internet where it sort of suggests, even Van Riebeck asked the Dutch East India Company to bring bamboo in 1653. And that's like 400 years ago. Yeah. So that's the kind of start where the sugarcane industry has brought in a lot of Indian workforce into South Africa. And for their prayers, it's called Hanuman Pujas, where they put up poles for their prayer flags. And that's the kind of religious belief that they use bamboo for. So Bambusa Balkur has been spread out throughout KwaZulu-Natal. Like there's a lot in Tongaat, there's a lot in the coastal areas, there's a lot of. And on the farm, we have got some Dendrocalamus aspis. They are the famous bamboo used for constructing the famous Bali bamboo U buildings. You know, they use Dendrocalamus. Yeah. So the Balkur, I think the sort of structural length. So in the ISO standard, I think they specify the bottom 7 meter is what is usable for a building application. So that's the kind of rule and guide. So whatever rest of the top, you want to split it up, open into flattened mats so that you can use it for paneling and ceiling boards and all that. But the bottom 7 meter is what you want to treat and cure. And that's what you can use. So from one plant, you can get about like 3 to 4 columns sustainably harvested on all that. But so in South Africa, we have one indigenous species called Thamanocalymus tessellatus, which is also known as berg bamboo. It's grown in the high altitude of the Drakensberg area. So bamboo has got a very wide diversity range of its habitat, and although they're not native, they can grow in different places. And in South Africa, if a certain species has existed for, I think, over 100 years, it's naturalized, categorized as naturalized species. So we do have Bambusa vulgaris. The vulgaris wall thickness is not too thick, so I don't think they are regarded as like a heavy construction grade material. But the building itself has many components. Some are structural, some are non-structural. Yeah. So all the bamboo is essentially usable, and if you use the smaller pieces to combine them, they are stronger. So not just, like you can't just say like, this is a weak bamboo, so you can't use it. Like there are ways of using it in different places. Yeah. So we do also have Bambusa multiplex that are the smaller species of, and they're quite good for reeds and fences. And so together with the clumpers, we have runners too. Yeah. In some places, and the tropical running bamboo has sort of rooted itself in the landscape, like scattered across. So we've got the running species and the clumping species. And the running species was actually told by some farmer, like talking to him about bamboo. They said the sort of the voortrekkers, they actually carried the running bamboos for aqueducts back in the day, where there's no metal, no plastic. They actually used bamboo to carry water. So they had significance, like back in the day, to actually use that for farming, irrigation. So together with people coming into South Africa, some are Indian bamboo, some are ornate bamboo from Asia. Like there's many different influences that actually caused the very diverse bamboo landscape in South Africa. So I think I did mention of mapping this resource. We have been doing it, but there are so many different places where they do have it, and we've actually even seen, like it's actually where the escarpment starts, which is all the way in the Cape, all the way towards Central Africa. Like we actually identified spots like all the way through like that escarpment in the coast area. So you can sort of hold back is actually land that we can actually utilize. So there's the bamboo is very, very hardy and strong, and I have quite a strong belief that this plant can provide for the nation. But still, we've got a lot of challenges regarding like mentality towards bamboo buildings, So that's the biggest thing. Thanks.
Oh, that's really nice. So maybe to tie in with the available species, because when you look at maybe for us, and I speak for East Africa, Yes, we have the natural, mostly the Dendrocalamus bamboo, the Euchaina alpina, the ones that are more they're growing wildly, and it is because of the rainforest, the Congo, Rwanda, Uganda, and also the western part of Kenya. Then we have also the Abyssinica that are a little bit of they're growing wildly, but you'll find most of the bamboo that we are using, specifically when it comes to craft and everything, are bamboo that we get the seeds and the seeds from China. Then we are able to propagate them here in East Africa and in the different countries that we are engaged in. So maybe just to finish up on it as being a resource. Maybe the question that I might ask is, to what level are you guys now engaging in terms of at production level? So at production in terms of plantation, because I know you had mentioned a little bit of their hectares that you guys have planted and something of the sort. Maybe if now you guys can tell us in terms of production, how many hectares of bamboo have you planted? Are you guys using seeds, or is it just using cuttings and something, and using of rhizomes in terms of propagating, so that now we can also see, is it something that it is easier in terms of propagation, or is it something that is tedious in terms of the structure?
Yeah, I think, Kaji, I think you could probably answer this better than me. I think you should go ahead.
Okay, so currently we are doing vegetative propagation of these bamboo plants, but the bamboo farmer has gotten the seedlings from. So we got some hectares, some blocks that are Bima bamboo, and some are Asper bamboo, and we've also got some bambos too. So I think he had in mind of different things regarding bamboo. So some of them are biomass for energy, some of them are for food production, some of them are for construction. Like, he didn't really have a specific target market that he was had in mind, but he was actually planting bamboo, like, in a sense. So currently we are actually doing vegetative propagation. So it's just calm offsets, the rhizome offsets, the planting of the calm sideways, and like the branch cuttings and all that. But that's applicable to our scale, our farm, like our little thing, and it's going to take a year for any of our sort of like propagation to happen. So we are currently sort of preparing somewhat of like steps in order to sort of get a tissue culture lab going, because if we wanted to actually do plants out of different farms and different areas and different and by just on the ground, and we wait 1 year for like a couple of hundred, we need like thousands. So that's the kind of I think currently we're doing vegetative propagation, but in the future we would like to set up somewhat of a tissue culture lab where we're propagating the right species and at the right quantity, because if you plant out 5 by 5 meter grid, in 1 hectare you can have 400 plants. So in order to plant out 400, like, you need to propagate those for about 400, and you don't want to be sort of getting some funny species. You want to get good quality, good thick wall species and everything. So
And then in terms of production, you asked, it's quite similar to the story of your previous bamboo guest, which I had the pleasure to listen to, in that during COVID, a lot of businesses lost a lot of everything. But for us, it was a little bit of the opposite in that we had by that point identified, naturally growing bamboo groves which needed forest management, sustainable forest management. So we were approached by non-profit organizations to do that, and it was just around that time where we were actually able to take on, I think it was about 12 workers during a time where everyone was losing their jobs, to go and sort of manage this forest and prepare these bundles for sale. So, but you asked about production. Yes, we have several streams. Our company is a little bit vertically integrated simply because the bamboo industry is so new in this country. So, that would mean from everything from propagation to treatment and curing. And at the Bamboo Regional Hub, which is in Pietermaritzburg, Kanji deals with we have a lot of stock. So bamboo poles and different grades of poles, different thicknesses, etc. So that's the production side. And then, of course, some, I don't want to say bespoke products, but we're trying to make it for mass manufacture. But bamboo screens, partitions, toys, like we mentioned. I've got a bamboo tray prototype that I've just come up with. So because obviously you want to not create any waste. You want to have a cradle to cradle philosophy, and you want to use every part of the plant so that there's nothing being thrown away. So yeah, in terms of production, that's the bamboo side of things. And then on my architectural side, we're slowly building up the right documentation and the right team. So that would involve engineers and other professionals to be able to put together this schematic for the prototype, which once tested, we'll be able to market and scale. But yeah, the biggest challenge is the amount of resource that we have. And so, like Kanji mentioned, having a lab that can generate the quantities required to meet the demand is absolutely critical at this point.
Yeah, and I think it is something that people who are getting into the bamboo industry, it is hitting them in terms of reality, in terms of the numbers and how much bamboo you really need in terms of running the business very well. If it is in construction, if it is bamboo char, bamboo activated charcoal, bamboo, and the different products. And I think, and I've seen also in Kenya, the International Bamboo and Rattan, the Kenyan office, also with the Kenya Forestry Research Institute, they are into the tissue culture. And I think they've reached a point where they've been able to start producing. I think this year or next year is when they're going to start planting the first bamboos that they've developed through tissue culture.
Really nice.
And this is for a key for the specificity of increase of production, having a lot of bamboo, so that now it can be a reality. There might be a reality on these kind of production companies and everything. You can have the raw materials can be made. And I think I will tie this in with yes, Kanji, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, so like this whole thing about making sense. Like there's a scheme in South Africa to provide houses for people.
Yeah.
It's called RDP housing, and they just build blocks after blocks after blocks, and they just sort of give it to people.
Yeah.
And the buildings don't get taken care of, and it doesn't really I know it's something that the government has thought about and has done. But where's the resource coming from? How are they building it? And, the walls are not getting maintenance because it's not really their stuff. They can't get the material to fix these things. So, so we're kind of trying to create a framework where the resource itself is the bamboo plant. We have to start there.
Yeah.
We have to actually start creating an incentive towards planting out bamboo resource. So, our big scheme, we require a lot of bamboo. I'm just sort of jumping the gun and sort of saying what it is that it is. We have to actually have the resource to do these kind of houses. So it's before the house is getting built, it's going to have to be the planting. And if you plant one block, you can make so many houses, but still you got to have a lot of. So per community, we can sort of work out how many members there are in that community, and how many plants would be required within that community, how many treatment facilities are there. And, so I think this treatment, the tissue culture is actually quite a crucial part of, it doesn't have to be one in every kilometer, it can be one in every 200 kilometers or something, but it's also quite costly, so you can't have it everywhere. But within the range of logistics, I think it could be an incentives for big organization that wants to offset the carbon emission or whatever it is, to be able to sort of help develop this kind of facilities for Africa, for development of this whole trade in a sense.
Yeah, that's really true. So also looking at how much can be produced in terms of planting, how much can it also cost in terms of, because if tissue culture is the way forward, then how much can it cost? Because in Kenya, I think what has also increased in terms of production is using an organization like International Bamboo and Rattan so that it can produce seeds, because it is also very expensive to get the seeds as you as an individual farmer. And now having an organization like International Bamboo and Rattan, which now brings in the seeds, now gives it to farmers, then now it can help them in terms of propagation. However, now you'll find also in terms of that is, if I give you 50,000 seeds, and it is also based on the different climatic conditions and different climatic things. Then you might find not all are going to grow, not everything is going to grow. And for tissue culture this is the species for this specific country based on this specific climatic condition. So which means production is for the best. So I think tying in on this is maybe a question that I'm going to ask is, what are the because we have talked about the challenges, and I think you guys have also captured on the specific challenges that you guys have gone through, and maybe you'll add more as maybe you answer this, is what are the strides that you guys have made in terms of making sure now this is becoming a reality, even from the low scale and until where you guys have come? What are the challenges that you guys have gone through, and also what are the successes that you guys have gone through? So what are the strides that you guys have made specifically as a company in South Africa?
So it's very much on the ground of what we could do, like with our own capable hands.
Yeah.
So we initially, myself and Dim, have dug out a 6-meter treatment tank, and we have treated a batch of bamboo harvested from the farm, and we have treated that. And 2 years down the line, we kind of used it to make a roofing coverage, which one of our one of our clients kind of asked us to make, and it was a 6-meter by 6-meter coverage of a kitchen, and that's just like one roofing component. And we don't really have it's not really like building code fit or whatever it is, but like it's like some kind of a structure that's up now. And even on the farm, like all the spaces that we kind of need to use to treat and cure bamboo, it's all bamboo. So that's the kind of process where we are. And with them sort of earlier mentioning about having to sort of think of this as a rapid renewable resource where we know that it's not going to last. So we make footings that is semi-permanent, and we are able to just remove that piece and replace it with another piece that just comes after. So right now, I'm using untreated bamboo for building almost like most of our things. But once we have the production line set up and ready, we will change it with treated bamboo. So I think that's the kind of the way that we have been doing. And once we can actually get somewhat of some dimensional statistics things ready, we'll consult an engineer to say that this column-based foundation can take so many tons of weight. And then from there we can say, this is the capacity of this concrete pillar to be able to sort of take that much of load, and that bamboo getting on top of it is going to be this. So like I think we are working in all different aspects. I think getting to work on this farm was the biggest step forward for us, because we need quite a lot of space to process bamboo. These pools are like 6 meter, 4 meter long, and you have to move them around, dry them, cure them. We've got a fire station where we sort of cook bamboo, because the different ways of treating bamboo, you can fire it, you can water submerge it, like there's many ways, but the time is very different with the treatment. So we are going with the fire treatment, and it does require like fire safe buildings, because you're making a fire that's cooking like a big 4 meter barrel, you know? So we still got many challenges ahead of us, but whatever we are actually using, we are sort of trying to figure out, we are trying to get data from it, I guess. That's the kind of word. So at the moment, some of the bamboo are straight in the ground, and I'm not expecting it to last 10 years. Like, it's something that we need space right now to get away with the rain, and that's the kind of things we're doing. So in a sense, like achievement-wise, we've got an operation base. Like we've been running for 4 years, going on to 5. We've got an operation base on a farm where we've got established bamboo resource. We've got space to plant out more, and we have I've kind of managed to get a permission letter from the Msunduzi municipality to be able to sort of manage bamboo in Maritzburg. So all the bamboo in Maritzburg, I have kind of access to. So those are the bamboo that we're harvesting, treating, curing, and sort of selling in order to sort of keep ourselves going. So the biggest the problem or the struggle that we've had is the curing time of bamboo. When it comes to international orders, the bamboo has to be dead straight and bone dry. Like, otherwise, if it goes into the container, it just gets moldy.
Yeah, true.
So that's the turnaround time from cutting the bamboo to actually exporting it out has been the biggest neck, because it will take any time from 3 to 4 months for these bamboo to dry. And that's even taking it very lenient.
Yeah.
So it's you can't just cut and load into a container. So you have to cut, treat, cure, and you have to have coverage. And there's so many headaches associated to this, because if people come to you and work for you, they want money that month, but you're only going to get that money in 4 months time.
Yeah,
so that's the biggest sort of like in the next situation where the product is coming, but geez, like it's only going to happen like in the 4 months. So like, what are we going to do in between then?
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest bottleneck. So we have been trying to figure out what it is that we can do locally, because the local market is not too strict. So we are trying to sort of do quick products we can make locally that can be sold instead of treating and curing. And, like they'll sort of buy us time to sort of get ready for the order going out. And so, I think you are really dependent on who you get access to, contact to, and what is the market's demand. And depending on that product that the market wants, you're going to struggle to find that sort of like gap between. So in order to get the facility up and running costs money, and in order to have people running, it costs monthly. I think you kind of have to get somewhat of a sense of, if you want to start, you have to get yourself ready in a sense, so that you can expect that sort of time delay of when you harvest something. It's not going to happen the next day that you can sell it. You have to treat it, cure it, dry it, and then you can go out. So that time lag has been one of our biggest problems that we've been facing.
Can I add a positive to the end to end this off? So some of you wanted to know about successes. I think you guys mentioned the sort of psychology and mentality around bamboo maybe before people had no idea what it was, but slowly it's coming into the foreground. So I think I would call it a success. The amount of interest that we've received from our own faculty of architecture in the country. I had a privilege to be a panelist on a discussion regarding housing and environment, but also just generally the amount of interest that exists within the communities and people we work with around bamboo, and that people are very keen to try it out and see what they can do with it. So trying to keep our clients satisfied, local clients and international clients, managing the cash flow, like Kanji said, that's the big challenge. But it's looking good, because people are accepting of it increasingly as time goes by, which is good.
That's really nice, because also through the challenges we can see that people are trying and are also getting into bamboo, trying different in their own ways on how they can convert bamboo in whatever they are doing. Just now, the skills now are needed for them to be true. Maybe not the last question is maybe because you guys are a company and your aim is to profit and make business out of bamboo. How is the business now? How is the business environment when it comes to bamboo? When it comes to the specific areas that, because you guys have said it's not only in the architecture sector, you're also dealing in the different areas. So how is business? How is the business environment if it is in South Africa? And also how is the business environment externally? Because you guys are not only just selling your specific products in South Africa, but also you are also targeting the external market. So how is the business? Okay, and what is the advice to someone who wants now to get into the bamboo business, either in South Africa or any other part? Yes, Kanji?
So as a start, I'm gonna sort of set the outer sort of not harsh, but somewhat of a reality. When it comes to bamboo, China has been in the industry for decades. They have set the mark for bamboo, and the price per pole is so low. What they offer, and all the European countries buy those poles because they're so cheap, and they've got so much of this resource like everywhere, and they've got their workers that are trained for, like for a long time, and they know what they're doing, and all the poles and production that they've got massive kilns to dry out these bamboo in a matter of hours. Like they really have all the big infrastructures required to make this thing work so that they can get the prices to be so low. So in order to compete in the market, international market, it's very tough. Whatever we are doing on the ground, we can only do whatever we can on a natural sort of schematic things. Like we can cut it, we can dry it, but we're just drying it undercover. We're not using a fire kiln. We're not using a vacuum treatment thing. So, so the price per pole increases. But the reason why we've got this order is because of a sense. I think it was during the corona virus period, and now that the China they increased their freight prices quite a bit with regarding all the export. So with that difference from China to England, from South Africa to England, that price difference of the freight has gotten us this order in a sense. So the client still orders from China, but our poles are substantially more expensive, but overall, if you consider freight prices, are cheaper. So we are lucky to be based near Durban, where the freight logistic to Durban port is not too expensive. So considering all those factors is a thing. So if you wanted to sort of start doing something, look at the quantity of the bamboo that you've got around you. And the specific needs might be that they want to have running species compared to clumping species. So there's different preferences that the European market wants. So in a sense, it's not just bamboo. There's many different kinds of bamboo and bamboo around you that's available. So it's not as easy as it sounds. So my view, I kind of tap into the local housing market in a sense. Like this is me personally. Like I'm speaking on behalf of everybody, like the only one. But for me, we've got members coming to us and working for us, and their roofs are getting blown with the hurricane that's happening, like all the roofs are falling off, the walls are falling off. And if we can provide the bamboo poles to be somewhat accessible for them, we've got many clusters of community around this area, and they're all asking to have bamboo splits or bamboo poles. And, so if we can somewhat sort of, I know it's going to be difficult. We can't charge an international price to these people, but I think the number of the volume could be better than sending one container every 4 months to a local people, you know what I mean? So I think it's how you approach this. So who's your target market? How do you want to sort of do this business? Because obviously the international market, you can get a little bit more money considering all the factors, but it's going to take you a long time to cure and dry. But if it's for local, you can treat it and sort of semi-cure it, but you want to treat it properly, cure it properly. So it's going to take a long time for that cycle to start, but yet still, if your local market is right there, you don't have to wait too long of a time to sort of get the thing out there. So on a community base, I think a little hub works quite well, just to have somewhat of a relationship for that hub to have with the different community members around that area to be able to sort of grow the resource, and you have that hub to sort of process the resource, and then it gets sold back to the community in the form of treated poles or like housing components. So I think you just have to be able to sort of get connected to the market and see what they want, and if you can meet the needs and this. And because even as we speak, we've been delaying this export order, like us currently right now. I've been sort of putting off the shipping date because we've made the product, like all of them are made, but they're not dry. Yeah. So if we pack this thing in a container, it's going to get moldy, so, and we've had some problems over the years. So it could our last if we send rejected, so like I've been sort of quite careful. And so there's a lot of effort that needs to go into export orders because the standard is so high because of the Chinese market currently.
Okay. Demeter, maybe I think for me, I wanted you to now look into specifically the architecture, because you're in the architecture sector. The architecture, how is the market specifically when you're looking at so many of the African countries, specifically under the circular economy sector and also the sustainable city sector? They are moving into affordable housing, looking at the issues of bringing in the different aspect of affordable housing. And my question was looking at the direction that so many countries are pushing towards, specifically in terms of sustainable housing. Does bamboo play a role in making sure that we can achieve this? And how is the market like, specifically in South Africa, because you are in South Africa, when it comes to affordable housing and use of bamboo in the architecture sector in order to achieve this or cover this specific goal? I know this is a really big question.
It's a big one. No, it's okay. It's fine. So thank you for that. I'll allow me to answer it in steps.
Okay.
So this is just a bit of a background because perhaps your listeners are not familiar with South Africa, the way things are here, but it's quite an interesting situation. Just to give you a small, paint you a picture of the construction industry, and actually no, not the construction industry, the sort of spatial legacy of this country.
Yeah.
You know, large parts of the country where the majority of the sort of lower income groups live, which are previously disadvantaged groups, it's all in sort of, not all, but a vast majority is informal settlements, where there's no regulation, where things happen organically and spontaneously. Then you have your normal sort of cities with suburbs like, you see on TV, I guess. And then you have this other class of people, the more elite layer of people who actually have gated communities in the States. That's a very popular thing in South Africa. People trying to sort of, block themselves away from whatever they don't want to look at or whatever. But basically what I'm trying to say is there are different segments in this market that are absolutely different, like you won't even believe. You could sell a bamboo pole for very cheap if you're trying to market to the lower income, but you could sell it for 10 times the amount if you go for the higher. So again, where's our focus? Well, our focus is sustainable housing, and of course that applies to anybody. It doesn't matter what income group you're in. A sustainable housing, it's a right for everybody. So I would say there's a huge potential for market. To market to these different groups. Now, what's interesting is that, you have this sort of professional stream of things, and then you have the DIY stream of things, whereby, you're either going to hire a professional to design and execute your building projects, or you're going to do it yourself. Now, both are common. And I feel that we have a role to play in both of those situations. So to give you an example, recently I was a panelist with another gentleman, Mark Misselhorn, from an organization here in Durban, which deal with the incremental upgrading of informal settlements. It's an incredibly complex problem, which I encourage the listeners to read about. But in a nutshell, the most feasible situation, the easiest way we can dig ourselves out of this hole of housing crisis is to work with informality and upgrade informal settlements in a structured and in a way that ensures that service delivery is actually met first. That is the number one thing. So water and sanitation. Now, through this process, this team of urbanists and architects developed a prototype which is made of timber and sheeting, but which is called the lift model, lightweight, infill, fireproof, whatever. It is compliant with the regulations, and it can withstand. It's a 30-minute fire rating, so that's something extremely important in the informal settlements, the ability for fires to be contained or just prevent the spread of them. So, I had a chat with him afterwards, and I said, could we replace all the timber in this design of yours with bamboo? And he said, yeah, absolutely. Why not? What's stopping you? Just do the tests. Just if it's fire rated, and it can absolutely happen. So to answer your question, the way I see bamboo fitting in is to supplement the existing methods, ways, and means that people do things already. So bamboo may replace timber products, it may replace certain masonry products, it may even replace certain insulation and thermal products. It's something that we're going to be developing as time goes by, but there is certainly a massive interest in it, and we need to go back and sort of, analyze the stuff we've already got out there, see how its performance is, and once we have a documented performance, then we can actually go to market with something like that, because while Kanji said, the kitchen structure, the prototype kitchen structure that he made wasn't certified in a sense, it's still something that can easily be tested with engineering rigor and a lab, stress tests and so forth. It can, we're developing products.
Yeah,
it's a work in progress. That's a very weird answer, but
it has really covered, because one of the challenges that for me, because I'm in Rwanda, one of the challenges that I've been given was we are moving towards sustainable housing, and we are looking at how can we make the houses affordable for people who cannot afford concrete and all metals and all that, but they want a house that can afford them the security and also can be strong and and all that. And the question they were asking, you guys tell us about these properties of bamboo. It is hard. Its strength is the same as as iron. Blah blah blah. And they're like, okay, can we have now prototypes so that now it can be something that can play a very huge role in terms of sustainable housing and all that, specifically for houses that are found in areas where they are prone to issues like earthquakes and so on and so forth. And that's why I really wanted to ask, and I really wanted to know that, because it is also as we open up different markets to bamboo, they are also giving us these challenges, because these are the things that are needed to be solved in the world today. And
if I can just add one last point here, is that we are, like Kanji mentioned, we're developing different parts of this thing. So the whole point of this is to be able to come up with a very succinct and just accessible building manual, whereby you can get this thing and you got like 10 things, you got, here's a foundation, here's a wall, here's a floor, here's a roof, here's a door, here's a window, this is how you make one. So looking at that sort of, how do we transfer the knowledge? So we're working on manuals, which we obviously need to translate to, we have 11 official languages in South Africa. So there's like, there's the multi-layers we are working with. So we're always looking for people who are interested in what we do and who can help us, because, we're not making millions. Like, I'll tell you that right now. Resources we have to be very strategic with our financial management, because, it's like, you keep reaching for the next level. So you know what I'm saying? You're never stagnating. You're always growing. You're investing back in your business. So that's it. It's the cycle. But building manuals. That's the idea.
Thank you. So maybe just to finish, Kanji, do you have any last words or anything last to add and also say, and also tell people why bamboo? Then also we go to the meter. Then I can. And also, as you're also saying, please also share where people can find you. That is the website and every single thing. Okay,
sure.
Okay, sure. Yeah. First of all, thanks for having us on the show.
Yeah.
It's been great talking to you. I think we've got a lot of steps ahead, and our vision kind of requires the bamboo plants to be planted and it's in abundance. Like, we can't just work on this thing that, we have to have these plants in the ground and planted. So we are busy building this sort of prototype of this bamboo regional hub, where whatever we are doing, it's going to be sort of replicatable. So I think with any movement, we need multiplicity. We can't just do everything ourselves. So we need to have different entities sort of working on different layers to make this work. And we are very focused on the housing thing, but some other bamboo people might be focusing on the soil erosion and like land rehabilitation. So in a sense, we can't do all the aspects ourselves. So what we are kind of busy with and focusing on is what Dim said as a manual form, where we have this information condensed into some kind of a booklet that we can actually go and show people, do skills development. And maybe the tissue culture, we are working on it, but maybe it may not be done by us. It could be done by another person, because we don't have the infrastructure. So if that tissue culture can be done, propagated, and if another entity can be assigned to do the planting, and we are just focusing on building the infrastructures that's required to turn that into a hub to make more houses. So yeah, I think just in a sense, everything is a stepping stone. So for us to be part of this show, we hope to sort of like go forward as, you know, like we get more experience and more connections and step by step, hey? We just have to sort of like just make sure that we just do everything that we can every day, and we just have to make it better than yesterday, you know? Like today must be like much better than yesterday.
True.
So yeah, thanks for having us on the show.
Thank you. Demeter.
Morris,
Yes.
Morris, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you and giving us this opportunity to share our journey with us. And, you know, there's a lot of, we can go on for hours, by the way, but but yeah, so yeah, just echoing exactly what Kanji said, and looking forward to learning more and sharing and getting connected with other people who can join us on this journey. It would be amazing to work with anyone really who shares our passion. So thank you.
Thank you so much. For those who are listening to us, thank you so much for joining this awesome discussion. I really hope that it has been impactful. You have learned so much. You have understood their engagement specifically when it comes to the different avenues that they are working on. If it is be it planting, that's through plants. If it is bamboo, as a product, the bamboo calms and something of the sort. Then also the different products that they are making. If it is in the architecture sector, if it is in the development of toys, please. I tell you and I beg every single person who is listening, go to Renewable Housing and buy your child a toy from Renewable Houses South Africa. Make sure you you wanted to say something, Demeter?
I wanted to say that we can also find us on Instagram. That's pretty much the only social media we're on, but it's Renewable Houses SA. You can find us there. We're a bit better with posting our progress there, but come and follow us, follow our journey, share your stories with us, and yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining me, Kanji, Demeter. Thank you so much. It is always awesome to have this discussion with the people who we are in the same industry, so that we can understand the challenges and also can see the success stories in terms of the development of the different industry. And for bamboo, let's say we are just beginning this journey. We are just making the first steps. We are going to make more. We are running, always tell people, when you look at Africa and we're looking at every single person who is fighting for bamboo development in different regions, look at China, go back to your drawing board. Look at China, go back to your drawing board. Knowing that that is where we need to be. So it is a challenge to make you improve in every single thing. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, Kanji and Demeter. For every single person, get this discussion on the Lab podcast that is on the different podcast platforms. On YouTube, you get it under Smart Talk Cafe. On Facebook, you get it under Smart Talk Cafe. On Instagram, the Lab podcast, where you can share your insight. Go to the chat, share whatever you're going to. If you have any questions, if you have anything that you need, if you want to reach out to Kanji and also Demeter, please go share on the contacts, share your contacts, share your questions, then I'm going to share it to Demeter. For those who are willing to support in any way, if it is financial support, if it is for grants, if it is to build, if it is for the machinery, if it is for every single thing, please, the Renewable Houses South Africa, go to their website, go listen, look at whatever they are doing. If you want their contacts, reach out. We will share their contacts so that now we can help one another build this and build a sustainable Africa through bamboo. Thank you and have a beautiful morning or evening to everyone that has joined us. Bye.